Nicole Sammarco from Nicole's Review. Nicole's Review feature Talk That Matters. We feature education, community work all over Somerville, Massachusetts, Cambridge, Medford, Chelsea, Lexington, and Arlington. In this episode today, we have Congressman Mr. Mike Capuano. Mr. Mike Capuano, please tell me about yourself. Did you have a good day today?
Not too bad today. Weather could have been better.
Yeah.
I'm the congressman for the 8th District, which includes Somerville, Cambridge, Chelsea, and about 70% of Boston. Former mayor of Somerville for 9 years, member of the Board of Aldermen before that, and lifelong resident.
Excellent. So I saw that you graduated from Somerville High.
Yes,
Is
I
that
did.
correct?
And
Me
married
too.
my high school sweetheart.
Yes, I saw that. Me too. I graduated. I don't want to say the year, but I graduated from Somerville High as well. Let's Somerville go. Now, we're going to get to the questions here. Now, how do you improve, strengthen, in education in our state?
Hard to do from the federal level. As a matter of fact, I would argue that for the most part, you would not want the federal government to be involved in local education. Otherwise, you'd have people from around the country telling us in Massachusetts what we should learn and how we should learn it. I think that most of my constituents wouldn't appreciate that. However, I do think the federal government has a proper role in providing funding. I think they have a proper role in setting certain absolute minimum standards that have to be set. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, there'd be some other details, OSHA requirements for teachers and the like. But in general, I think education should be done on a local and state level, not a federal level.
Absolutely, I agree with that, certainly. On that note, I see that on your website that you have a huge list of resources and tools for special education for students to strengthen their ability to learn. What about having some of the schools that when I have meetings, and I'm a huge part of education, so I have meetings in different schools. So a lot of them mention that, Nicole, what about AP? Like, you have advanced placement. Some of the schools do have it, some of the schools don't.
Right.
Now, is there something you could do in terms of having that all over Massachusetts?
Again, not at a federal level. When I was mayor of Somerville, actually, we instituted an advanced placement course. Unfortunately, it only lasted a couple of years because the state started cutting funding. Those are the last round of state funding cuts. And I personally think that every student should be given an education that's equivalent to their capabilities, which means we do a pretty good job, in my opinion, of dealing with kids with special needs. I mean, we could always do better. We do a pretty good job of dealing with students who have English language problems. I don't think that this state, and probably the country, but this state does a great job, especially across the state, with advanced placement kids, the kids who find education to be a little bit easier, or maybe they need a tougher challenge. I think that we should be doing more, particularly in the urban areas that have a hard time providing the funding.
I agree. I agree with that, certainly, because I had some meetings, and some of the kids needed more challenging experience. Now, I come from a very strong traditional public service background for over 20 years. Since I moved to the U.S., now, would you recommend public service to children or our communities, states? Would you recommend?
Let's put it this way.
Encourage them.
I believe that everybody has a responsibility as a human being of trying to make the world a little bit better place as they see it. There's all kinds of ways to do that. I do it through elective office, but you can do it through your church, you can do it through the Little League, you can do it through 1,000 different things, the Girl Scouts, and on and on and on. There's 1,000 ways to do something that is beyond yourself. And a lot of people wait to be asked, and I think that's probably a shortcoming of the individual. I think people have an obligation to reach out and help other people. And that doesn't necessarily mean somebody less fortunate than you. You don't have to be the most fortunate person in the community to write $1 billion check. Just get off the couch and go coach basketball or whatever it might be, whatever it is you like. So for me, actually, that's a lot of what drives me in public service is this feeling of obligation, and I'm not going to suggest that everybody should have the same I have. There are days I think I have too much of that.
Same here.
But at the same time, everybody can and should be doing something.
Absolutely, I agree with that totally.
Which includes coming down and working at your local cable station.
Yes, exactly. Anything you do with it'd be a huge help, because I know at Harvard we do once a year we do public service week for the students, and I think that should be more spreading all over, not just Harvard. I'm a huge part, like I said, with public service. Somerville High School should probably do something. All the schools should probably be doing something about that. Have the kids get involved, because I went to Somerville High School in the '80s, and I got involved with helping battered women, helping young children, pregnant children. I've done a lot of stuff like that, but again, I came from a very strong background with that. So I think it has to do with a lot of having parents and everybody give you that little push, because you have a voice. You have to get out there.
It does, but it also comes from, I think, from your own internal self-worth and a feeling that you have something to offer.
Passion.
And I understand that fully well, that a lot of people have to work very hard, 2 and 3 jobs. I get that. But there's always some time that you should give back something. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little something.
That's a great answer. What is your plan to decrease violence in our community?
Well, that's a continuing problem since the beginning of mankind.
Yeah, right.
I think that the best, if I had to pick one thing, I think the best thing we can do is provide a stronger economy. An economy that allows people to get jobs that they feel that they're worthy of having and that can make ends meet. I think violence generally increases during a period of economic hardship. And to be perfectly honest, in this last several years where have been tough times for a lot of people, I've been a little pleasantly surprised that the violence rate hasn't increased dramatically. It's increased a little bit, but not as much as I actually feared that it would. I think that's the best thing we can do. I think the next best thing we can do, we have to be honest, there are some people in society that need to be removed from society.
Yes.
Not everybody can be rehabilitated or rehabilitated at the same time. So I think it's a combination of providing opportunities for people so that they can see that something better can be achieved in the normal course of life. But I also think that you have to do a carrot and the stick. I don't think one works without the other.
Yes, it's a combination.
I think so. I mean, there's some people who think the stick is all you need.
Right. No.
And I think that that's may make you feel good, but it won't solve the problem.
Yeah, we have to work together to achieve that. So, I think that's an excellent answer. Thank you.
Good, doing well.
Where do you work before Massachusetts? Have you lived anywhere else besides Massachusetts?
Only in college. I've lived in Somerville all my life, grew up here, went away to college and law school when I came back. And I've been here ever since. Truth is, I didn't find any place that I wanted to be more than I wanted to be here. My family, my friends were here, and I was comfortable here, and I didn't see any reason to leave. So, I mean, during college and law school, I did live other places, but this has always been home. And
Somerville.
I have no idea what I'll be doing 5, 10, 20 years from now, but I have no plans on leaving, and I don't necessarily see it in my future.
Oh, very good.
You find someplace you like, you tend to stay.
I like Massachusetts too. I haven't been anywhere else but Florida for a year. Then I came right back. As a Somerville girl, please tell us one of the greatest accomplishments that you have done when you were mayor in Somerville. And the second part of my question is that, and if you wish that you could have done better.
I'm one of those people that thinks that everything I've ever done could have been done better in hindsight. You always learn something from what you've done. My answer is a very general answer because I don't think it's any one thing. But having grown up here and known what the reputation of Somerville was when I was growing up, I'm very, very proud of the fact that I believe that we've turned the reputation of this city around. And we didn't do it alone. It was done with lots of good people and lots of good public officials. At the same time, I happened to be mayor when we made a lot of strides. The city went from a place where people wanted to move out of and get out as quickly as they could, which is what the situation was when I grew up here, to a place now that people want to move into. And the good thing is that it's good to be in a place that other people want to be. The bad thing is it's driven property prices up very high, and it's made it tough for a lot of people to afford to stay here. So there's always some good with some bad, and
Everything you do.
in everything you do. But at the same time, if the choice was to continue to let the city slide, therefore making it more affordable, I don't think that was a wise choice. I think we had to try to make it a better place, and by doing so, It wasn't part of the goal, but part of the result was to push property values up.
And the results is what I count.
And I think that most people who
Keep
look at
getting
Somerville now, I mean, they see it's still an urban area. I mean, not everybody
Mm-hmm.
wants to live in an urban area. It's still urban, but I think most people see Somerville as a vibrant community that's enjoyable to live in, a relatively safe city. Again, we're a city. We're not going to pretend that we're Shangri-La, but we're a city.
Right, yeah.
But it's still relatively safe compared to other cities around, and reasonably affordable.
Yeah.
Again, compared to other cities in the same situation. So I think for most urban areas, from what I've seen and from what I know, most of what we've done has been seen by other communities as something that they would like to emulate.
And I do like Somerville. I grew up in Somerville, and I got married. I moved to Arlington, but who knows? I might get back to Somerville.
Arlington has a lot of Somerville people there.
I know it.
I mean, it's not that much different. It's the continuation of the housing stock. Same general type of people. I mean, working people trying to make the world a little bit better place. People who are generally involved in their community. There's a lot of similarities, and I tell you,
In Arlington, yeah,
there's a lot of Somerville people in Arlington, a lot of Cambridge people in Arlington, and a lot of Arlington people.
Yes. So, and in terms of speaking about Arlington and Cambridge, I just remember a question for you. I'm involved with a lot of public service again. Here I go again. One of the things that we do a lot of run for charities, motorcycles or anything, breast cancer or whatnot. But the last one that I did last year, and I know that at the board meeting, I'm one of the board executives, and people had questions about how the holes in the town. I know that's not one of your sector, but is there anything that you could do to
What do you mean, like potholes and all?
Potholes.
No, that's not. That's what I did when I was mayor.
Yeah.
And
That's something.
Well, we've had a tough couple of winters. Number one, and number two, a lot of the cities and towns are struggling now.
Yeah.
It's a tough time for them, just like it is for individuals. And they have to make tough choices. And sometimes the choice is between filling a pothole or keeping a teacher. It's a tough choice to
That
make.
is a tough
So
choice.
it's.
I'd rather keep the teachers.
Well, that's each city will make its own choices. Some will decide to fill the potholes. Some will keep the teacher. And I think you'll find that some of them will tend to keep their services more than their infrastructure. And I will tell you, everybody knows that you like everything. You want both. But when you have to make tough choices, you have to do it.
Yeah, you did. That was a pretty tough question. So I answered that. Now Somerville prides itself on independence, business. Everybody in Somerville have a little shop here and there, Now, what do you plan on doing, or maybe the mayor of Somerville plan on doing to allocate loans for small businesses?
There's a fair amount of opportunity for small business loans, but the definition of small business, in my mind, has been skewed towards actually large small businesses. So they consider small business anybody with 500 employees or less. That's not a small business to me. That's a pretty good sized business. I've always thought the federal government's definition of the term has been too expansive. There is money available for many small loans. We oftentimes do it through the community development block grant with things like storefront improvements, and there's a fair number of agencies around that will give you micro loans. They're called, for the most part. Those are for the real small businesses. But honestly, I think that the federal government's role is to provide the money for the most part. We do okay with it, but we tend to give more support to large businesses than small, which I think is a huge mistake. And actually, one of the reasons I think that is exactly what you just said. My district is made up of more small businesses than it is large businesses. We don't have too many large employers.
No.
And maybe that informs my decision, but I'm a strong proponent of making it even smaller, making things available to real mom and pop type of stores.
Yeah, that's great. Have a small restaurant. Like maybe I wanted to open up a small Italian restaurant. I think that'd be great.
There's always room for one more restaurant.
There's always room for more entrepreneurs. I just came from a 3-day conference about that. Now, you are serving 70% of Boston area. Would you please tell us in detail about what your major plan is on that 70% of
Boston? I represent Boston just like I do Somerville, Cambridge, and Chelsea.
Okay.
I've told people all the time, when I was mayor of Somerville, I represented the people of Somerville, and on occasion that would bring me into conflict with people I now represent. And on occasion, I have to represent my constituency in a conflict with others when we're fighting for limited resources. But within the district, I do everything I can to try not to favor one over the other. I think that would be inappropriate.
That is appropriate.
And that would, it would be bad government and bad politics.
You don't want that.
I hope not.
That's great. Please tell us about your financial services and involvement with the community and transportation. I know that you.
Well, I'm on the Financial Services Committee and the Transportation Committee. And both of them put me at the middle of, well, the Financial Services Committee. For the last several years, we worked on the economic meltdown, trying to figure out exactly what caused it and trying to fix it and trying to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you do the best you can. I mean, there will be another economic meltdown someday, but you know, we think that with the law that we passed last year, the Dodd-Frank bill, that we think we plugged the holes. At least I think we did a pretty good job. Not everything I would do personally, but when you're in Congress, you don't get to do what you want. You have to work with others, and sometimes it means
committee.
It means you have to give up some of the things you believe in.
Yeah.
But in general, I think it was a pretty good bill. I think we've put some limitations on some of the things that, in my opinion, caused the economic meltdown. We've tried to help people. I don't think we've done a great job trying to help people keep their houses. We've done okay. I think there's more to do, and the problem is right now that the House is run by Republicans, and they've actually repealed 4 of the programs that we put together. Now, I wish I could say there were fantastic programs that help everybody, but they helped several million people. And I would argue that, okay, it didn't do everything I wanted it to do, but several million is better than none. And they've repealed them, so you know there's
nothing you could do.
Well, their arguments are that you know we're all on our own, and my argument is if you live next door to me and you lose your house to foreclosure, that hurts my property value and it hurts my neighborhood. It doesn't help me to have an unstable neighborhood. It doesn't help me to have a house that's boarded up or a house that's vacant or a house that gets sold at a lot less than we all think it might be worth. I think that's bad, for not just for my neighborhood, but what happens across the country, which is what's happened. That's bad for the whole society. So that's what we've done on financial services. On transportation, we've done even less because everybody knows that the mantra in Washington now is no taxes ever again. And the bottom line is if you want your bridges and your roads fixed, if you want commuter rail fixed, if you want the Green Line extended, if you want anything related to transportation, somebody has to pay for that. And we have always paid for it through the gasoline tax. And the gasoline tax is a flat tax. So every time we buy a more fuel-efficient vehicle, the gas tax revenue goes down. It's good for the environment, and it's the right thing to do, but it means the revenue goes down, and it means we have less money to fix our roads and bridges, and less money to do the Green Line extension, and on and on and on. So that transportation has been mostly a struggle and an argument about revenues more than anything else, and thus far we haven't come to a conclusion on it. It goes back and forth like a tennis ball.
It goes back and forth, for the last 10 years, I think.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Wow, thank you. I like that answer. That explained it to my viewers. It's a lot of people.
I think that anybody who understands society, imagine what this country would be without the interstate highway system. And you know, if we had no Route 93 and 95 or the Mass Pike or all across the country, this country would be a third world country. And that entire system was built with tax dollars. And nobody complained about it then, and nobody thought it was a bad thing. Everybody thought it was a good thing. It helped grow the middle class. It helped grow the suburbs. It helped spread some of the burden out across the society. I don't think anybody would argue that we should have a better subway system or a better commuter rail system. All of it was built with public money. And
I think it's working fine.
It cost a lot of money to extend the Green Line. And I just use that one as an example. The Fairmount Line's the same thing in Boston. The Blue Line extension to Lynn is another thing we want to do.
Yeah, we got to pick a battle. Where we want to cut, education or transportation?
Well, either that or we have to realize that, you know, to be in a worthwhile functioning society, sometimes it costs us money.
Yeah, somebody's going to lose.
Well, I argue that if you want to be a member of an advanced society, you have to be willing to be part of it fully. Not just get the benefit, but also provide some of the money to do it.
That's right.
It's a two-way street. The government functions only on tax revenue. And if people don't want to pay taxes, then they cannot.
It's a two-way street. Two-way street. That's right. Now, when you were in Somerville mayor, back to that, tell us one of the things that you wish that you have done differently and better.
Pretty much everything.
Like you said earlier, this question will repeat itself in a little bit less detail.
Well, I mean, it's just, everything I've ever done. I think that you learn something when you do something. It doesn't matter what it is, no matter how well you do it. At the end of the show, you'll look at the show and you say, "Gee, I should have asked this question. I should have asked it this way."
I do that a lot.
And we all do. Everybody does, and I'm no different than that.
Yes.
With the benefit of hindsight, I look back at pretty much everything I did, and I would have done a little bit better. That doesn't mean I'm not proud of what we did. I'm very proud of what we did. So, I mean, what I would do differently, again, there's so many things that I would tweak here and tweak there. But overall, as far as the big picture stuff, I wouldn't have done anything differently.
Picture,
But I would like to think that I would have learned some lessons earlier and maybe approach certain things different ways.
You're a human being, just like everybody else.
I think anybody who thinks that whatever they did yesterday was perfect, well, good for them, but
Every day is a learning opportunity for everyone.
it should be.
Yes, I believe it. And now, I thought that your project about housing for elderlies, I saw that for parents and grandparents to benefit, the housing,
Right.
raising children. I like that. Please enlighten me on that.
That's a program that we didn't create it. It was created down in Dorchester by actually several different groups. And what it was is there's a segment of the society where the parents are not capable of taking care of children, either because they're incarcerated or they're drug addicts or they die or or whatever, 1,000 different reasons, and the children end up with grandparents raising them. And I would argue that with that situation, you get a 70 or 80-year-old person taking care of a 4-year-old kid. It's tough enough when you're 35 taking care of a 4-year-old kid. I would argue that it's a reasonable thing to do to provide some assistance, some daycare, some respite. And this program was cobbled together down in Dorchester. And what we did is we simply saw a good program that we didn't create, but it was working. It was great. It's not the kind of thing that everybody's going to benefit by, but some people are going to benefit by it. So we simply took it and asked the federal government to mirror it around the country, and it's been working pretty well.
That is a great. I think that my family can benefit to it. Because a lot of people, leave kids with grandparents.
There's a lot more people than people realize.
Yeah.
And I'm not 75, but if I had to all of a sudden be raising a 2-year-old right now, it would be difficult.
It would be very difficult.
Yeah, I've done that, and it was great. But
yeah, I see my parents watching my nieces, so I saw that question. I have to ask you that. Thank you for answering that. I appreciate it. Now, this question has two parts of it. Is the first part and the second part. There's two parts. Now, okay, tell us about your endeavor on being a chair for the Special Task Force for Ethics Environment.
Well, when the Democrats took over the House, we thought that the ethics process was broken. And it doesn't presume guilt. It means that the average person did not have any faith that if someone in the House were accused of a wrongdoing, that members of the House could police ourselves. And so what we did is we instituted for the first time in the history of the country a situation where we have non-House members now reviewing allegations of wrongdoing.
Okay.
And what it did is it brought a level of independence. We put some time frames on certain reports so things couldn't just be buried with times. It goes in and never comes out. It was a very difficult thing to do. Again, it was the first time in the history of the government.
Right.
And now, 2.5 years later, the Office of Congressional Ethics is considered by every outside observer to be a success and a significant improvement, the most important improvement in ethics reform since the day it was instituted.
Wow, that was a hard thing to do. Like you
It
said, the
was.
first time.
It's difficult
in
to
history.
ask people to allow someone else to judge their activities.
Of course,
It's particularly difficult.
That is very difficult.
Well, especially in public life, we get accused of wrongdoing all the time.
I know.
And,
I know.
And the presumption is not of innocence. The presumption is of guilt.
I know. I'm ready because with this new TV show I started, I know I'm gonna. Hey, you know, I'm human like everybody else, right? My second part of the question is that what inspired Ms. Pelosi to appoint you to that position?
Well, you'd have to ask the speaker. We have a good relationship. We trust each other. We're open with each other, and I think we have the same general view of the world. So I don't know exactly why the speaker asked me to do it, but
It's a great thing.
I was happy to do it. And
Yes.
I was kind of like the guy comes in after the circus. I mean, you know, there has to be somebody who cleans up other people's mess, and I did it on several different items. This was one of them, and I'm not afraid of tough jobs. And
That's why she sees in you. She
wouldn't be
figures out,
surprised.
this the guy for this job.
Well,
I agree.
It didn't make too many of my colleagues happy at the
Oh,
time.
you know, they'll be okay.
Had to be done.
You were the guy for the job. Now, would you tell us about African American mission in Sudan?
What
Your
we've done
mission in
there?
Sudan? Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I think by now most people know, but you know, Sudan suffers from a lot of internal difficulties, not the least of which, well, two things. A civil war between the North and the South was one thing, and then a genocide in the West. I mean, the government of Khartoum was committing a genocide on its own people, attacking unarmed civilians with helicopters and gunships, and I really decided to get involved as best I could. I kind of figure, even though Sudan is one of the poorest countries in the world, you don't see it on CNN on a regular basis. At the time, you didn't see it at all.
Right.
And the truth is, I didn't grow up knowing where Sudan was. But my argument is that a genocide is something that every human being should take offense at. It shouldn't matter whether the people look like me. It shouldn't matter whether they're on CNN or not. But when hundreds of thousands of people are being massacred by their own government, all of humanity should be outraged. So I did what I could and still doing what I can.
That's great.
The genocide has subsided, but there's still lots of difficulty in Sudan.
That's such a great mission to have. And
I wish we could do more.
yeah, every little bit counts, and that's huge. And then thank you for doing that. Now, Mr. Congressman, is there anything that you would like to share with us, with the public, with my viewers, about yourself? Anything you would like to say to them? Anything at all? There goes your chance.
For me, I just want people to be involved in their civic responsibilities, which means to me voting. It also means paying a little attention to issues. And that doesn't necessarily mean agreeing with people like me. There's no requirement for agreeing. But I think that there is an obligation to be involved. I think that it is an obligation also to be respectful of people who disagree with you. Nothing wrong with agreeing or disagreeing. I don't expect anybody to agree with me on every issue. But I do hope that people realize, and I'll give you a classic example. When George Bush was president, you know, my district was not full of George Bush supporters, just the opposite. But I reminded people all the time that George Bush was not an evil man. I mean, he woke up every morning, I believe, the same way I did, trying to figure out how to make the world a better place to live. We had significantly different views as to how to get that done. But I thought he gave a lot of himself. I'm just using him as an example.
Yeah, right.
I have to say the same thing is true on a local and a state level. You can disagree with people, but there's no need to consider them evil or to be nasty about it. It's fine to be vehement about the position that you hold. I insist that we do this way, and I'm going to do everything I can to get it done. That's okay. But if someone doesn't agree with you, I don't think, number one, you walk away.
No.
And number two, there's really
walk it
no
out.
need to call them names if, you know.
There's no need.
It shouldn't be. But so for me, I want people to understand that government is intended to be messy. Because so many people are involved with so many different views, and there is no one answer to any problem. And so therefore, people have to learn that you have to work with other people, you have to come up with compromises, and you have to understand that, you know, if you don't get everything you want, it doesn't mean you give up, and it doesn't mean it's a defeat. So that's...
It's a commitment. It's togetherness. We're all in this together.
It should be. And even those of us who disagree on a given issue, maybe we'll agree tomorrow on a different issue.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Yeah, but it's human. Somebody's going to find something wrong with
And
something.
for me, it's the involvement. Get involved.
Yeah, just get involved and get out there and do it.
Yeah, try to make the world a better place.
That's right. Thank you so much, and it was such an honor to have you on my show.
Happy to be here.
Yes, come back again.
We will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Folks, and this episode, again, with Nicole's Review, we just had an interview today with Mr. Michael Capuano. Thank you for watching.